In Q3 of last year, a DTC skincare brand cut their total ad spend by 37%. Most people in the room thought it was a mistake. 6 months later, their revenue was up 22%. Their contribution margin had climbed from 19% to 41%, and their customer acquisition cost had dropped by almost half. This is the story of how they did it, and what every brand running paid ads right now can learn from it. Let me set the scene. The brand is called Vela, a fictional name, but the situation is based on real patterns we see repeatedly across US DTC brands. Vela makes premium skincare, average order value around $78. They launched in 2020, grew fast on Meta, and by 2022, they were spending $340,000 a month on paid social and search. Revenue was strong, the team was proud, and underneath the surface, the business was quietly bleeding. On the surface, Vela looked like a success story. 4.1 times ROAS, revenue growing year over year. A team of 18 people, a Shopify store doing over $4 million a year. But in early 2023, a new CMO joined, someone who had come from a larger brand with a rigorous measurement culture. And within her first 90 days, she started asking questions that no one had asked before. What is our contribution margin after ad spend? No one knew. What percentage of our ad-attributed revenue would have happened anyway? No one had tested it. What is our blended CAC? Not what Meta reports, but from our actual P&L. No one had calculated it. What is the lifetime value of a customer acquired through paid social versus organic? No data. What would happen to revenue if we cut paid spend by 30%? No one knew. 5 basic questions, 0 answers. A $340,000 a month ad machine running on autopilot with no one able to say whether it was actually building a business. This is more common than you think. In fact, it's the default state of most scaling DTC brands in the US right now. The new CMO spent her first 60 days doing something radical. Nothing. She didn't change a single campaign, she just measured. She pulled the P&L, calculated the real contribution margin, ran a geo holdout test on their top Meta campaigns, and built a proper blended CAC figure from the accounting data. What she found was not what anyone expected. 19% contribution margin, after all variable costs. That means for every $78 sale, Vela kept $15 to cover rent, salaries, software, and customer service. There was no buffer. Any spike in ad costs, any supply chain disruption, any return surge, and they'd be operating at a loss. And this had been the reality for over a year. The ROAS dashboard just hadn't shown it. The geo holdout test told an even more uncomfortable story. For every dollar Meta claimed to drive in revenue, only 22 cents was genuinely incremental. The other 78 cents would have happened anyway. Vela was spending $340,000 a month to generate approximately $75,000 in genuinely incremental revenue. That is a real cost per incremental dollar of $4.53. The platform dashboard was showing a 4 times return. The actual causal return was somewhere around 22 cents on the dollar. That's not a rounding error. That's a completely different business reality. The brand in this story had strong ROAS numbers the entire time they were losing profitability. The ROAS scorecard I built will show you if the same thing is happening on your campaigns. It estimates your true incremental ROAS versus what your platform reports. Link in the description. Blended CAC told the same story from a different angle. Meta reported a $29 CAC, but when the CMO divided total marketing spend by new customers from the CRM, the real blended CAC was $71. A 145% understatement. The platforms were claiming to acquire customers at less than half of what it was actually costing. Armed with this data, the CMO went to the CEO and board with a proposal that made everyone uncomfortable. She wanted to cut paid social spend by 40%. Pause all retargeting. Pause all branded search. Redirect a portion of the savings into email, loyalty, and post-purchase retention. And use the rest of the savings to improve gross margin by investing in better packaging and a more efficient 3PL partner. The logic behind pausing retargeting and branded search was simple and based directly on the incrementality data. The holdout test had shown those two campaign types had the lowest incremental lift. They were almost entirely capturing customers who were already on their way to convert. Stopping them would cost almost no real revenue, while saving over $140,000 a month. The prospecting campaigns stayed. They had a genuine incrementality score above 1.8 times. Those were actually working. Everything else got cut. The three-part thesis was straightforward. 1. Cut what isn't working. Retargeting and branded search have near zero incrementality. Pause them. Save $140,000 a month with minimal revenue impact. 2. Invest in retention. A customer who comes back 3 times is worth $234 in gross lifetime value. Every dollar into retention is higher leverage than every dollar into acquisition. 3. Fix the unit economics. Improve margin per order from 19% to 35% or above by renegotiating fulfillment and improving packaging efficiency. This compounds on every sale. Here's how the plan actually unfolded. Because the story isn't just they cut ads and everything got better. It's messier than that. Month 1 was rough. Month 2 was uncertain. The results didn't appear until month 4, and that lag is exactly what most brands can't tolerate, which is why most brands never make this move. Month 1, retargeting and branded search paused, email flows launched. Revenue dropped 8% versus the prior month. Expected. Customers were adapting, but contribution margin was already climbing because $140,000 in low incrementality spend had stopped. Month 2, new 3PL contract signed, packaging simplified. Revenue down another 4%, still stabilizing. But the P&L was looking meaningfully better. The business was making more profit on less revenue than it had been 6 months prior. Month 3, email revenue starting to scale. Repeat purchase rate moved from 21% to 27%. Revenue flat versus month 2. This is the danger zone. The moment when the old team would have panicked and reversed course. What kept them on course was the margin data. Even at lower revenue, the business was generating more absolute profit per month than it had before the cuts. The P&L looked better even when the dashboard looked worse. Month 4, first month of genuine organic and email-driven growth. Revenue up 6%. The floor had been found. Month 5, prospecting ads scaled slightly on the improved margin base. Revenue up 11%. Month 6, revenue above the pre-cut level for the first time. Contribution margin at 41%. 6 months after the cuts, here's where Vela stood. Monthly ad spend, $340,000 down to $210,000. They spent less. Monthly revenue, $355,000 up to $433,000. They earned more. Contribution margin, 19% up to 41%, more than doubled. Blended CAC, $71 down to $38. Almost halved. Repeat purchase rate, 21% up to 34%. Customers staying. Lifetime value to CAC ratio, 1.9 times up to 4.6 times. Healthy business. And monthly contribution profit, $67,000 up to $177,000, plus 164%. The number I want you to sit with is that last one. Not revenue, not ROAS, not attributed conversions. The actual dollars left over after every variable cost, available to build the business. That went from $67,000 a month to $177,000 a month in 6 months. By spending less on ads. That is what measuring the right things makes possible. Vela's story isn't a blueprint you can copy exactly. Every brand's numbers will be different. But there are 3 lessons in here that apply universally, whether you're spending $10,000 a month on ads or $10 million. Lesson 1. Measurement before optimization. Vela spent 60 days measuring before changing anything. Most brands do the opposite. They optimize campaigns while having no idea whether those campaigns are working. Know your numbers first. Change things second. Lesson 2. The panic dip is part of the process. Month 3 was the moment the old team would have reversed course. The only reason Vela didn't was because they had profit data, not just revenue data, to anchor the decision. If you only track revenue, you'll always misread a margin improvement as a failure. And lesson 3, low incrementality spend is not safe spend. The $140,000 a month in retargeting and branded search felt safe because the ROAS looked good. But safe is the wrong frame. It wasn't generating incremental revenue. It was consuming margin. Every brand has a version of this hidden in their account. Most of them will never find it because they're not running incrementality tests. If this story felt familiar, the ROAS Reality Check scorecard will tell you exactly how inflated your numbers are. Link in the description, and the free checklist if you want to understand whether you are ready to fix it at the model level. Vela didn't do anything exotic. They didn't hire an army of data scientists. They didn't rebuild their tech stack. They asked 5 questions their previous team had never asked, measured the answers, and made decisions based on what the data actually showed instead of what the platform dashboards told them to believe. That's it. That's the whole story. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this episode, it's that the path to profitable growth almost never runs through more ad spend. It runs through better measurement. And once you know which of your dollars are working and which ones are just making a platform's metrics look impressive, the decisions become obvious. Subscribe so you don't miss what comes next, and drop a comment below. What would your business look like if your contribution margin doubled? I want to know what you're working with.